look at the behavior of a traveler, a pilgrim and a traveler. A pilgrim, the word used in our scriptures for a pilgrim is not Tirthyatri, it's Tirthasevi. Somebody who goes to do, you can interpret it in two ways, somebody who goes to do the sevan of the Tirth or somebody who goes to do seva at the Tirth. But the word seva is associated with it. If I have to find a parallel word for tourists, the closest I can think of is upabhogi, a consumer. So we end up consuming a lot more. The purpose of Tirtha is not pleasure at all. In fact, pleasure travel or work travel is never counted as a pilgrimage travel. Your purpose of pilgrimage travel is to seek knowledge, is to seek experiences, is to do praischit if you need to do tarpan, and follow all the rules of a pilgrimage, which I'll just come to. While the tourism, if we compare, is primarily driven by consumption, the pilgrim is actually focused on giving up. So if I talk about some of the rules of pilgrimage, it involves brahmacharya, it involves upavasa. Upavas, it depends who can do how much of upavas. Some people give up food completely. Some people go on falahar. Some people eat one meal a day. Some people, even those who eat 3 times a day, would eat basic sattvic meal. They will not indulge in too much of food or too much of rich food. Definitely not non-veg. Definitely not alcohol. So it was brahmacharya, upavas, even monavrat, tapas, jap, dan, snan, swadhyay, and a very important was tarpan for your pitrus. Like I said, you maintain purity in every possible way, shuddhi in every possible way. Purity of food, purity of thought, and equanimity of mind. Now, there's an inner shuddhi that you're supposed to practice even before you leave for the pilgrimage. You have to mentally, physically prepare for the pilgrimage even before you leave for the place. You're supposed to travel alone or with your spouse if you are a grihast, and not travel in big groups. Definitely not. Now compare it to the tourism. There are essentially no rules. You can just go, you can just pick up your bags and go. There is no preparation unless you are hiking, climbing a mountain, going into a different terrain. Most of the times there's no training needed. Food, we all end up consuming far more than what we consume at home. We end up consuming a lot more in every possible thing. We engage in a lot of sensual pleasures. So this is diametrically opposite, where you are in pilgrimage, you are trying to control your senses as much as possible, lead a simple Shuddha life. In travel, you are just letting go. You're just letting go, and you're just letting yourself enjoy as much as possible of whatever is available, even if it means you have to come back home and deal with the consequences. Now, one of the purposes in this is mentioned in Mahabharata in Tirth Yatra Parv. Pulatsya Rishi is having a dialogue with Bhishma Pitama, and he asks him, why do we go on a pilgrimage? He says that, there's this huge yagnas that kings and rich people engage in, Ashwamedh Yagya, Rajsuya Yagya, and Agnishom Yagya. Lot of these yagnas, but you need a lot of resources for those yagnas. Not everybody can engage in those yagnas. Now, what do the people who cannot afford those yagnas do? They go on a Tirth Yatra. And going on a Tirth Yatra is equivalent to performing any of these yagnas. In fact, there is a complete table of which Tirth, going to which Tirth and staying there for X number of days, doing Y activity will give you the benefit of X number of Ashwamedha Yajnas. So that mapping is completely available, that this Tirtha, even if you can see this Tirtha, for example, in Kurukshetra, they say that even if you keep wishing to go to Kurukshetra, it gets you the benefit. In Narmada, they say, even if you look at Narmada, it gives you the benefit. In Pushkar, they say it's like Adi Tirth, where all the Tirthas stay. So if you visited Pushkar, you have really visited all Tirthas, and they say it for many Tirthas, by the way. So the point that I'm trying to make is that there's a purpose behind Tirthas, which is not very clear to us. Why do we do pleasure travel except for pleasure? You know, there's a much bigger purpose. And in the good old days, it was a way to earn punya when you cannot afford to do a lot of big yagnas. And a Tirth Yatra involves a sankalp. You take a sankalp, and that I'm doing the Tirth Yatra for this purpose. It could be overcoming a difficulty, it could be for higher knowledge, it could be for your gati, so that you, after this life, you get into a good loka, or it could be for rin chukane ke liye, to get rid of 3 rinas. So we all have 3 rinas: Dev rin, Rishi rin, and Pitru rin. So these 3 rinas also you pay by visiting Tirthas or doing rituals at Tirthas. So in fact, I have examples of people going to places like Kashi or Mathura and cleaning the streets. And that's their seva of the Tirth. You know, that's how they serve the Tirtha. Now, again, compare it to the tourism, it's purely pleasure and gratification, and instant gratification, if I can say. We believe in 3 gunas, you know, we all, everything can be divided in the Sanatan universe into 3 gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. When you go on a pilgrimage, you prepare yourself by giving up all possible tamas. From brahmacharya to, minimal eating, to upavas, to everything, to behaving well, to equanimous mind, you give up all tamas. You try and give up some rajas, if not all. In fact, there are some tirthas. For example, there is a Birija Devi Shakti Peeth in Jajpur in Odisha. Now, Birija means Raja, Bina Rajke, somebody who doesn't even have rajas. Similarly, in Ayodhya, there are tirthas where they say that if you take dip in this pond, you will become viraj, which means your rajas you'll get rid of your rajas and you will become all sattva. So the focus is on minimizing tamas, getting rid of as much rajas as possible, and maximizing your sattva. That is pilgrimage. Now, if I ask you, what does tourism do? Tourism is, by design, it heightens your tamas. By design. Because you party, you have excess consumption, you are engaging in sensual pleasures, you are engaging in all those things that give you a sense of heightened tamas, even if it's for a period of travel only. So by design, they are diametrically opposite.